Welcome to World Transits Today. I'm Art Granoff. Connect with me at referenceastrology.com. Today, I'm going to show the September 2024 World Transits in archetypal astrology. Let's start today with some of the current long-term outer planet world transits. Start with from July of 2024 to July 2025, we've got Jupiter square Saturn. And today, September 1st, we welcome Jupiter square Neptune. So it's Jupiter Saturn, Jupiter Neptune. With Jupiter Saturn, it's abundant resources, building large structures, luxury goods, or too big, squandering resources, big endings. And with Jupiter Neptune, it's Numina Grande, major boundaries dissolving, a grand flow, or substantial confusion, a greatly inflated imagination, or successful happy hour. Jupiter Saturn, Jupiter Neptune. In addition, we have Uranus trine Pluto. Uranus, BPM4, birth, release from a tight spot. And Pluto, the death rebirth struggle, intensity. So essentially, we're talking about freedom with intensity, reminiscent of a couple of other eras we can reference. One being the French Revolution in the 1790s, with Uranus and Pluto together. And also the 60s, the 1960s, Uranus conjunct Pluto for 12 years. Freedom with intensity. Another major world transit is Saturn conjunct Neptune. Real versus ideal for 3 years. Saturn is restriction or strength, and Neptune is the imagination, flow, or delusion, confusion. So there can be trouble there. Also, Saturn, Neptune at its best is actualizing dreams. We also have Uranus sextile Neptune, two outer planets together. Uranus, release, freedom, with Neptune, mystical union. And we can understand that one pretty well, right? Then also, Neptune sextile Pluto. Now for this one, Neptune sextile Pluto, it's rather difficult to understand intellectually. Two big ideas at one time. So what I recommend is have some non-ordinary state experience, meditation, psychedelics, Grof breath work. Have the experience and then read about it. Then it'll make really a lot of sense instead of you're trying to understand it with your mind and applying it, which may find lacking. Okay. So have the experience, check out the transit, and see if it's something that you went through. Okay. Then also, check this out. Just showed you, okay, Uranus trine Pluto, Neptune with Uranus, and Neptune with Pluto, and also Saturn conjunct Neptune. This is what's going on right now, September 1, 2024, okay? And if we go a year in advance, 1 year, we notice that Saturn and Neptune are really close, really tight. And if we remove Saturn for a second, just for fun, we notice that in a year from today, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all together, and notice Uranus at 1 degree, Neptune at 1 degree, and Pluto at 1 degree. Pretty darn cosmic, huh? With time for psychedelics, meditation, Grof breath work, other stuff, really tight. And then you'll notice Saturn, again, still there. And if we go in another year, 26, they're still all together. See, Saturn is fading away from Neptune right there until a few months. Check it out. Until the fourth month, and then gone. So, pretty exciting. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto with Saturn all together for 3 years. And here we are back to where we started with some of the large outer planet transits. Jupiter, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, and Uranus with Pluto. Let's add the sun. Whoa, here we are, September, right here, what we're looking at. And look at these sun transits. We got the sun with Jupiter, the sun with Saturn, the sun with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So it's a full outer planet party this month with the sun. We notice, remove a couple of these. We had Jupiter, Saturn, and Jupiter, Neptune. Well, looky here. We've got Sun, Jupiter, Sun, Saturn, Sun, Neptune. Perhaps we'll be identifying with abundant resources, building large structures, or major boundaries dissolving, grand flow, etc. Then we notice also, if we add Uranus and Pluto right there, we notice that we've got the sun with Jupiter, the sun with Uranus. Jupiter expands. Uranus is the breakthrough. That's pretty good. And also, we have the sun with Uranus and Pluto. It doubles up with Uranus trine Pluto, freedom with intensity. So it looks like the sun, a lot of action with the sun and the outer planets, September 2024. Let's add Mercury. Mercury's the mind, our thinking, plus all of our communication. So we start the month with Mercury square Uranus. Uranus is the new thing, BPM4, breaking free. And Mercury's our mind, again, in communication. So what can we think up that's new? How can we communicate that in a fresh way? It's up to each one of us to figure that one out. We notice too, if we look over here at Mercury down the line here, it's Mercury, Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, and Mercury, Neptune. Wow, we have Jupiter, Saturn, we have Jupiter, Neptune. So it's Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune. With our mind, abundant resources, structures, luxury, and Mercury, Neptune, Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, using our mind, dissolve boundaries, or flowing. Notice it's Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune. Jupiter, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune. Notice also, since there's Uranus trine Pluto in the sky, we notice that we have Mercury trine Uranus and Mercury trine Pluto. Freedom with intensity. Okay? Mercury Uranus, uncovering fresh material to understand or communicate. And Mercury Pluto, diving beneath the surface, finding the prize. How about Venus? Why not? We start the month of September with Venus on Uranus and Pluto. Venus, Uranus, the fresh love, the love poem, and Venus, Pluto, Beauty and the Beast, who's on top. Let it all hang out in a deep way. And Venus square Pluto mid-month for 2 weeks. Okay, let's add Mars. Mars, Neptune to the 15th. Mars is action and strong will, and Neptune is the transcendent. So Mars, Neptune is flowing activity. Perhaps you're an athlete, you're a dancer, you're doing something in a flowing way. also moving towards wholeness. Mars, Neptune. Got Mars, Saturn from mid-month till mid-October. Again, Mars is force. Saturn is resistance. Bam, bam, bam. It's only two words to describe that. One is called Ukraine, and the other is called Gaza. Leave that there. So we just saw the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars with Jupiter, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, square Pluto. Please welcome Phil Donahue. You know him, right? He opposes the death penalty. Phil Donahue, an American media personality and writer who had the Phil Donahue Show from 1967 to 1996. Some of you oldsters may remember this or remember something about this. He focused on seemingly controversial issues, and he also pioneered audience participation, running around the room with the microphone and giving it to someone to speak. I saw him in an interview, and he was saying that, at the time when he started this, there were no wireless mics. So he had to really haul his hose with him, his giant cable, and run around the room and make sure he didn't trip somebody or himself. He was crowned the king of daytime talk television, and Oprah Winfrey, you may have heard of her, says if it wasn't for Phil Donahue, there'd be no Oprah show. Okay. And interestingly, he starts the Phil Donahue Show right after his Saturn return in 1967. And then 29 years later, as his second Saturn return ends, the show ends. There's Phil Donahue's chart. We notice right off the bat that he's got Saturn opposite Neptune. Okay. Just like now, we have Saturn conjunct Neptune in the sky. See there, he's born 1935. There it is, Saturn opposite Neptune. He's also got, you notice right here, he's got the planet Jupiter in a square with Saturn. And he's got the planet Jupiter in a square with Neptune. Hey, what have we been talking about? Saturn and Neptune. He used his grand imagination to build the Phil Donahue Show, and he kept doing it. He actualized his dreams. Okay. Phil Donahue also has the Sun with Mercury conjunction. Okay. His mind is illuminated by the Sun, both in a trine with Uranus towards the new thing. So that's his outward personality. His inner person, his moon, his sensitivity, and his sense of beauty, Venus, all in an opposite to Uranus. His outer person with Uranus and his inner person with Uranus. Hey, in addition, Phil Donahue has Uranus square Pluto. We have Uranus trine Pluto in the sky right now. We see Uranus square Pluto, 1835, right there. Freedom with intensity, just like the French Revolution in the 1960s. Phil Donahue, after retirement, returns to television. But within a year, his show is canceled. It's the best rated show that MSNBC has, and they cancel it because he opposed the Iraqi war, okay? And that having him on the air would be difficult for the station. Go figure, right? At the time, MSNBC was owned by General Electric, a major defense contractor. Now you see the workings of television behind the scene. It ain't just what you see on the screen. Okay. Corporate control was at odds with his view, guests, and his shows. I think I think Phil Donahue is genuine and trying to do a good thing. Thank you, Phil Donahue. The new moon tomorrow, September 2, sun and moon conjunction, the repeat of an endless cycle that keeps on going. And the full moon, September 18th, the sun opposite the moon, delight for the senses, beauty for the eyes, exciting times, the full moon. And some election stuff, transits of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So let's look at the outer planet transits. Kamala, she's got Saturn with Venus and the three outer planets. Whoa. Saturn, Uranus, old versus new. Saturn, Neptune, ideal versus real. And Saturn, Pluto. Could be tough stuff or the strongest work. Saturn builds and Pluto transforms. It's kind of what we need right now. Okay? So what does Trump have? Let's see. He's got Saturn square Uranus, old versus new. He's got Uranus on Mars, fighting for the new thing. And he's got Uranus on Saturn. Oh, so he's got Saturn, Uranus, and Uranus, Saturn. Okay. Got Neptune on the moon. He wants to give. That sounds like, it doesn't sound right, but nonetheless, he's sensitized and he wants to give. He's got a great imagination with Neptune. And Neptune, opposite Neptune. That's either imagination with imagination, or maybe delusion with delusion. And he's got Pluto, opposite Pluto as well. Depth and intensity on top of depth and intensity. So thanks for joining me at World Transits today, everybody. Running down the September 2024 World Transits. I'm Art Granoff, reference astrology.